This is the moment Brian Thompson, CEO of UnitedHealthcare, is fatally shot outside a Manhattan hotel. It's the 4th of December 2024. 5 days later, police arrest a suspect, 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. He's charged with murder, to which he later pleads not guilty. During a search of Mangione's backpack, police say they find a ghost gun, an untraceable gun with no serial number.
The information we're getting from Altoona is that the gun appears to be a ghost gun, may have been made on a 3D printer.
Experts identify the alleged murder weapon as the Chairman 1 V1. It's a partially 3D printed model, capable of firing multiple shots without its plastic components breaking. The incident highlights how sophisticated 3D printed guns have become, allowing almost anyone to build an untraceable gun at home.
It may be the single biggest advertisement for 3D printed guns that we've seen, and it really kind of sounded an alarm, I think, across the country that 3D printed guns aren't a problem of the future, they're a problem right now.
I'm Dan Hardoon, and for BBC Trending, I've been investigating how social media has become central to the promotion of 3D printed guns. They're often described as a type of ghost gun.
So a ghost gun is any DIY, do-it-yourself, homemade, unserialized, untraceable firearm. They are designed essentially to avoid all federal and state laws on guns, and it gave a market for criminals and other individuals that couldn't legally purchase a gun, this easy pathway to get one.
There are different kinds of ghost guns, including DIY kits that allow you to assemble a gun from existing parts. But 3D printed guns are seen as the biggest emerging threat because you can assemble a gun from scratch with the right materials, a 3D printer, and a set of blueprints.
The technology has improved, the cost has gone down, the materials have gotten better, and the ease of access of these blueprints is at a high. Right now, 3D printed guns are going to be, if not already, the weapon of choice for criminals, for militia, for far-right groups in America and maybe across the world because of the ease with which you can manufacture them.
3D printed guns aren't new, but over time the technology has become more sophisticated. And whereas 3D printed guns are legal in many parts of the United States, subject to certain restrictions, the bigger risk may lie elsewhere.
In many parts of the world, particularly in Europe, guns are heavily regulated. This technology is a full end run around those laws.
And over on social media, 3D printed guns are promoted enthusiastically. In October 2024, a report by the Tech Transparency Project, a non-profit that aims to hold big tech accountable, found that hundreds of gun ads, including for 3D printed and ghost guns, were appearing on Instagram and Facebook in violation of Meta's policies. Several months later, the BBC finds similar ads still showing up in Meta's ad library. When we put these findings to Meta, they tell us the ads in question are no longer active on their platforms and have been automatically disabled in line with their policies. They add that inclusion in the ad library doesn't necessarily mean an ad is still live or visible to users, although at the time of our investigation, the ads were still showing as active. These gun adverts typically include usernames directing potential customers to their Telegram or WhatsApp channels. When you join, there's a constant stream of gun photos with prices. I even come across a Telegram account offering to ship guns worldwide. So I want to find out whether this account would be willing to break the law by shipping untraceable 3D printed guns to the UK. So I'm going to send him a message from an anonymous account. The Telegram user, who calls himself Jessy, replies quickly, offering me a Liberator or a Glock switch or auto sear. The Liberator is the world's first widely available 3D printed gun. It's made almost entirely of plastic and was created by Cody Wilson, a self-proclaimed crypto-anarchist. But it's more of a proof of concept than a viable 3D printed weapon. A Glock switch, on the other hand, is much more deadly. It's a small, sometimes 3D printed part which converts a pistol into an automatic weapon. Jessy then offers to smuggle the weapon through customs, asks for payment in Bitcoin, then suggests a bank transfer to a UK account I'm not able to trace. Now, it's not clear whether Jessy is a real arms dealer or a scammer, but either way, his offer to ship guns to the UK is clearly illegal, so I'm going to give him a call to challenge him about what he's doing. Hi, is that Jessy?
Yeah.
I'm a journalist with the BBC. I'm investigating how 3D printed weapons are being promoted on social media. And you offered to sell me a Liberator or a Glock switch and said you could smuggle them through customs.
Yeah, bro. That's no problem.
Are you aware that's illegal in the UK?
Yeah, bro.
Which country are you in?
I'm in UK, bro.
You're in the UK as well?
Yeah, bro.
Why are you selling firearms on your Telegram channel?
Because I want to say, bro, it's my business. Why you asking questions? Do you want to buy or you ask me questions?
I'd like to ask you questions because what you're doing is illegal.
I know it's illegal. You came to come and buy, you came to come and question me, bro. Are you the cops? You are a journalist, understand? You are doing your own business, I'm doing my own business. I run my business, I sell some shops online, understand? I sell shops.
So how long have you been doing this for?
I'm not answering any question anymore, bro.
I have to say, after that phone call with Jessy, I reckon he's not a real arms dealer. He was just too brazen and casual. Now, of course, we can't say for sure whether he would have delivered us a real gun. We weren't going to test that out. But the point is that if scammers can pose as gun dealers and exploit these apparent loopholes on social media, then so can the real ones. In a statement, Telegram told me Jessy's account and others I'd been in touch with have been taken down. They said the sale of weapons is explicitly forbidden by Telegram's terms of service and is removed when discovered. They added that moderators empowered with custom AI and machine learning tools proactively monitor public parts of the platform and accept reports in order to remove millions of pieces of harmful content each day, including the sale of weapons. In reality though, 3D printed guns have become so advanced that you don't need to buy a ready-made one. There are other places online where you can get all the know-how you need to build your own. So I've just done a quick Google search and found one of the popular 3D printed gun websites, and right on the homepage there's a quick guide to getting started, taking you through step by step which printers are recommended, which tools you need, and crucially the files. So what I'm looking at now is essentially like a catalogue of different 3D printed gun models, different shapes, different sizes. Now in theory you can just download these files, load them into your 3D printer and start building a gun. But even with a step-by-step guide, is it really that simple?
I actually think the term 3D printed gun is a bit misleading because it gives the impression that the entire gun is 3D printed, and that's not the case. Most of the popular designs involve metal parts, and those metal parts are key because they could withstand the pressure from firing the bullet through the chamber.
And there are some designs that allow you to repurpose these metal parts yourself without needing any commercial firearm parts.
And you're essentially turning yourself into a DIY gunsmith, and that involves a lot of trial and error, so I don't want to give the impression that it's as easy as printing off a sheet of A4 paper from your office printer.
It may not be easy, but these designs have significantly lowered the barrier to entry for 3D printed guns. The most famous is the FGC-9, or Gun Control 9mm, a semi-automatic gun built entirely from scratch without any commercial firearm parts. Now, although the 3D printed gun movement is global, it has a strong presence in America. Many US-based gun rights advocates firmly believe in the Second Amendment right to bear arms and consider this a human right. Their aim is to make 3D printed guns available worldwide by publishing blueprints and guides for free on the internet. The group is often wary of the media, but one of them has agreed to speak to me, although he doesn't want to appear on camera. Matthew LaRosier is a gun rights advocate in Florida who's written one of these guides, and I ask him why.
I just generally believe that information is good no matter what.
But it isn't just information, it's information that is going to being used for a lethal weapon.
So you just said information that means it's just information. It's ones and zeros. The fact that like the information has a use case that makes you uncomfortable, I understand and I sympathize with that. But that doesn't make it correct to say it's anything more than information.
So far, there's only one documented case of 3D printed firearms being used in active military combat, and that's in Myanmar. Since a military coup in February 2021, various rebel groups have taken up arms against the junta, including some pro-democracy forces. But how did a 3D printed gun end up in the hands of rebels in a major conflict zone? My colleague Hnin Mo from BBC Burmese has been speaking to some of the rebel leaders.
They confirmed me that in 2022 and 2023, the resistance forces were producing and distributing hundreds of FTC-9 3D printed guns. They were more than 10 times cheaper than buying an automatic machine gun from the black market. All of the leaders I spoke to told me that they are no longer using 3D printed guns due to the lack of glues and metals needed to hold the guns together.
The Myanmar example shows the limits of current 3D printed guns for military use. But around the world, the spread of 3D guns is clear. They've been found on almost every continent, from Australia to Ecuador, Japan to Ireland. So far, there have only been a handful of documented cases of 3D printed guns being used in violent crime, but we may be at a turning point.
There have been dozens of cases of violent extremists trying to make 3D printed firearms. Every few months, there have been people arrested with components or near completed guns. So I'm very worried that we could have these guns fall into the wrong hands and we'll see a mass shooting or a mass casualty event.
So is there anything that can be done to keep people safe?
We're going to need federal and state laws regulating these blueprints, as well as the act of 3D printing a firearm. But there are also technological solutions that could prohibit printing of a firearm the same way that traditional printers are prohibited from printing currency and counterfeits.
Advocates of 3D printed guns often like to say you can't stop the signal. You can't stop the spread of these guns now they're out there. Governments are rushing to keep up, with a raft of new measures designed to criminalize the distribution and possession of these blueprints. But whether they can act fast enough is another question.